with the latest on the Red Raiders at the big tournament. This is Red Raider Nation's quest for the championship, sponsored by Red Raider Outfitter.
Last night's webcast mystery solved. Our David Collier discovering that NBA star Steph Curry made a video wishing the Red Raiders well in the Final Four, sent every one of them a pair of his brand new Curry 6 sneakers and some new gear. Hi everybody, I'm Brian Mudd, Eric Kelly alongside. Look good, feel good, play good,
exactly.
Right?
Must food-wise.
You know, for folks who are there and in the middle of it, I imagine it's already happened. I think I've talked to a lot of folks here in town over the last few days, and a lot of folks on our Facebook Lives and things like that. It's bizarre. This is a whole new world for folks because they've never made it this far. They've never, last year everybody thought the Elite Eight was a great deal.
Yeah.
Now this is another step entirely.
So it feels different. So are you at the point where it's where you felt at the Elite Eight last year where you're like, oh, this is great. Like, I'm very happy with this. To where, is it that, or is it like, no, let's go get it?
Yeah, are you going to be satisfied with this?
Because I feel like a lot of people were very satisfied with the Elite Eight last year. I feel like if you would have asked people at the beginning of the year, would you be satisfied with a Final Four? 100% would have checked that box and said, yeah.
And now we're talking about the potential for national championships for the Red Raiders.
Exactly. It's wild how that works.
Crazy year. All right, now let's take a look at today's headlines brought to you by our friends at Red Raider Outfitter in Lubbock. The only open practice for the Red Raiders and the Final Four teams happened today in Minneapolis. Our David Collier has that for fans on Facebook Live. He'll join us in a couple of minutes with more on that. Lubbock Chamber of Commerce made a wager with their counterparts in East Lansing, Michigan. Wintech wins. Lubbock gets a big basket of their local craft beer from Michigan. And if those guys win, they get some of our local wines.
I like that when they win. Not the if, the confidence there is key.
We're at a point now where we got to be positive.
Out of 100, now teams would usually never measure attendance for one of their practices if anyone other than players and coaches are there. It's usually just the team support staff, a few invited guests, so on and so forth.
That's it. But this is the Final Four, and nothing is normal. As Texas Tech's workout today at US Bank Stadium was probably more performance than practice. Our David Collier joined us live once again from Minneapolis, there in the bowels of said stadium. David, any idea how many people were there to actually see that workout today?
No, I didn't see an official head count at this point, something we could probably get for you coming up tonight at 10. They just wrapped up, I think, a Reese's All-Star game here in the last hour or so, so people just funneling out of US Bank Stadium. But I can tell you, it's not your normal, you guys mentioned, normal basketball practice crowd. It's not what we saw in Tulsa. It's certainly not what we saw in Anaheim when not as many fans could get there early to watch the practice sessions. You could probably put those two combined and then add some more on top of it because there were other schools' fans here as well. But in the section of Red Raider fans, they were loud and proud, no doubt about it. You got your typical Raider power chants, which, again, we're used to hearing at football stadiums, but not when watching basketball practice. So it was a unique experience, and I'm glad so many people actually made the trek up here a little bit early to watch their Red Raiders in action on the practice court before they see the real thing tomorrow.
I got to ask you, tell me about practice and how the team looked in all of that stuff. Is it nerves, positive energy? What did you get out of what they were doing out there in the workout?
No, it seemed all positive and not a nervous bunch at all. It's been like they've been every step of the way. I actually saw Chris Beard, they had to hold him in the tunnel because, the NCAA likes it down to the T. They have to wait until you get out there until the buzzer goes off. So they held them at the entrance there for a moment, and as they were counting down their time to go out, Chris Beard turned around and he looked at all the coaches and just gave them a big smile and was like, how about this, huh? And then they ran out onto the court, they held their practice, and you mentioned it's more of a performance more than anything. The only thing that you're looking for is just to see if these guys are tense and if they're having fun out there, and I think each and every one of them certainly were. We talked to Norrance yesterday, and he wanted to feel out the issues with the depth and dealing with playing in a football stadium as opposed to a basketball gym. And for the most part, we mentioned this, that everybody shot the ball decent. It might be a little bit different when it's completely packed and you've got a lot of pressure on you, but you've got all of that going on. So it certainly looked like a very bunch that was at ease. They were having fun. They were talking about shoes in the locker room. We had a chance to see Ronald Ross, a graduate assistant, and Chris Beard's youngest daughter, Margot, playing video games in the locker room. Everybody cool and calm leading up to this a game against a Michigan State team that certainly will be a tough test, and it'll be a completely different environment. I think we all agree there. As for those Michigan State Spartans, one of the best rebounding teams in the country, I think 3rd overall in the nation, a gritty team just like the Red Raiders. Red Raiders probably play a little more Big Ten ball than most. We had a chance to catch up with assistant coach Mark Adams earlier today in the locker room to discuss what we can expect from the Spartans when they take the court tomorrow.
Yeah, what's that all about? No, I didn't know. For some reason, when the coaches got left out, so I want to make an official complaint to Steph Curry and Under Armour and Coach Beard that we felt mistreated.
I think as a defensive guy, Steph Curry was probably a little weary of giving a defensive guy some shoes.
You know, I've seen him play a little defense before, so he's shortchanging it. So this is our request to Steph Curry. Please, we want defensive shoes for our staff.
Well, we gotten to this point, and it seemed like you guys were playing a lot of offensive teams. I know those guys clearly play defense. You don't make it that far in the tournament, but now you kind of get one of your own this time around against Tom Izzo.
We do, David. We have a lot of respect for Michigan State and the way they play, not just defense, but the way they play the game. They play it the right way. They're a very tough physical team, a lot of discipline, and so a lot of admiration for them.
The ball over 7 times. I mean, that's tough when you guys not necessarily rely on it, but you want to get.
No, it is. Yeah, those. For us to stay in the game, we feel like we're going to have to turn them over at least 12, 14 times. They're averaging 7, but since they rebound so well, we need to try to offset that with some turnovers so we can at least have as many possessions as they are. So blocking out is going to be a key, but trying to get those guys to get in scramble positions so we can turn them over and get some easy baskets.
You mentioned the blocking out. I mean, Norris had that role, that game earlier on in the tournament against a team that everybody said that was going to be a problem for you guys rebounding. How important is it for him to get off to a quick start?
I think it's important not only for him. I think it's important for our whole team to get off to a great start. Just we've got 2 things that are imperative for us to have a chance to win. We've got to sprint back on defense. They're just relentless the way they get down the floor and look for those easy baskets the first 5 or 6 seconds of the possession, and then at the end of the possession, we've all 5 got to block out on the floor and stay with it. If they get a rebound, they'll kick it back out for a 3. So they really make you pay for it if you get those offensive rebounds.
Last one that I can think of. I know everybody, so I might as well ask it. I mean, not that you're going to give me a game plan, but I'm figuring you want to try to keep the ball out of his hands as much as possible.
You know, David, he is just an unbelievable player on both ends of the floor, but offensively he's got great vision. He always makes the right decision. So our game plan is to try to contain him and try to keep him out of the middle, and then hopefully we can make some of these other guys turn the ball over. But, yeah, we'd like to keep it out of his hands. He's worth about 40 points when we look at his assist and his scoring. So he's, if we could stop him, that'd be over half the scoring.
I guess if Coach Adams wants to feel any better, I don't think Cassius Winston got any of those shoes either. I mean, it might have something to do with the fact that Michigan State's not an Under Armour school, but I'm just trying to make him feel a little better. I didn't get a pair of them either, even though I did have my hands on a pair of them. But
you are an Under
I'd like
Armour
to stick around here
sports reporter, though, so that you're on that team.
If it makes you feel any better, I think you would have pulled them off nicely. I had one more question, actually, about the fans. You talked about how there were pockets of Red Raider fans. You could hear the Raider Power chant. I don't know how much you were on the court for other practices or how much you've seen of other fans. How do the Red Raider fans, at least on this Friday, compare maybe percentage-wise to other fans and their turnouts?
Well, I wasn't able to see part of the earlier practice. I briefly went out there for one of them, but I was out there a little bit to get video of Michigan State, and I heard the band, playing and stuff like that, but I didn't hear any chants. I didn't hear anybody getting vocal, but that's probably not the fair fan base to see if they were actually excited about being at this point, since they've been to 8 of them. I'm sure the Auburn fans were probably loud and proud earlier today. Unfortunately, we had other obligations at that time, like talking to the Red Raiders or doing what we're doing now in several different forms here or there across the country and the nation. The next Star Nation.
The guy's not sitting around eating hot dogs and waiting for the game to start. I'll tell you that for sure. David, go get some sleep.
If you do,
go ahead.
I'm just going to let you know we had a potato bar today. Mm-hmm. Potatoes were good. I had a tomato basil soup. I didn't want to. They had potato soup, and I want to go potato soup and potato bar, right? I mean, I made the right choice there, right?
You got to make good choices there anytime when you're on the road eating.
Now I got to find food now because all that food is gone. I'm just going to let you
We want
know.
a Juicy Lucy report at some point in time during all
Oh,
this.
I would pay for that package right there.
We're going to try tomorrow. That's the mission for tomorrow. We got the video games and the shoes out of the way. Now we got to get the Juicy Lucy.
Right. All right. We want a full report tomorrow. David, thanks so much. Stay out of trouble. Hey, if you're new to Texas Tech basketball and you're wondering about that 4-to-1 ratio thing that you just see everywhere, that comes directly from Coach Beard and his philosophy that basketball is 4 parts mental and 1 part physical.
Yeah, now strangely enough, it's weird how this all kind of works out. Vegas experts have also given Tech a 4-to-1 chance to win the title. All comes around full circle. Odds, though, aren't always easy for everyone to grasp, so our Terry Furman, local mathematician, talked to a statistics professor at Tech to break down the numbers games for us.
62% of the time overall, a 1 seed wins the tournament.
Over the last 20 years, Dr. Leif Ellingson, a statistician, says only 12% of the time a 3-seed team has made it to the Final Four. Meaning it's definitely not a common occurrence, but that doesn't mean anyone should count out Chris Beard and the Red Raiders.
Subjective probability is 100%. Most of the groups have Michigan State slightly favored over us, but almost a coin flip. So around 52% to 48%. That's pretty good, especially against a team that's as storied as Michigan State.
So the 1-in-4 odds Texas Tech has of winning the Final Four is pretty impressive.
Just by virtue of getting there, roughly a quarter of the time it actually worked out, and it's not just because there's 4 teams in the Final Four. The data has actually shown that this is what it works out to be.
So what can those of us who had our brackets busted at home learn about the math behind the bracket?
I'd say really no math is really necessary to have a good bracket.
But there are some strategies you can use to build your bracket.
Oh, yeah.
But even then, once you get to the next matchup, the 5-12, for many years now, this has been a trendy place to pick an upset. And this year, I believe it's even 2 or 3 of the, I think it's 3 of the 12 seeds actually won.
And kids in the classroom in high school are using March Madness to figure out just how real and unpredictable probability can be.
We look at very basic information. My freshman Algebra 1 students compete against my senior bridge kids, so it's across all ability levels, and it makes it fun for all kids. To see a freshman struggling in math beat a kid that's a senior is really exciting. I see kids talking about math class outside of math class. A lot of people dread this part of the day, and so when we can actually get them excited about something, that's the fun part for me.
Either way, those of us who were smart enough to bet on the Red Raiders, and even those who weren't, are betting on the Red Raiders bringing home the hardware from Minneapolis.
That's good stuff.
I got lost with all those numbers right there. Bro, I got a journalism degree for a reason. I saw more than one number on a board, and I'm donezo.
You have to tell me nothing. I'm sitting right here next to you. Terry, thank you. And by the way, if you're looking for the latest Final Four information for Texas Tech and all the teams in Minneapolis this week, 100% of the time, log on to the website for your local Nexstar affiliate station here in Lubbock. That's everythinglubbock.com. Click the link for the big tournament. Everything you need to amaze your friends before the games start tomorrow, including a link to this show and all of our shows this week.
We are here right now with a man who needs no introduction, but I'll give one to him anyway. Bubba Jennings, former Tech basketball player, former Tech assistant coach. Bubba, how you doing?
Doing great this morning. How you doing, Eric?
Great. Hey, what a time to be just associated with the Texas Tech basketball team, huh?
It's an awesome time to be a Red Raider. Really looking forward to this weekend. Really proud of Coach Beard, coaching staff, and the players, and really feel good for them. It's great for the whole community. I love it. Great for Texas Tech, and I couldn't think of anything better to be happening to Texas Tech right now than to be playing in the Final Four.
And Bubba, you have an interesting perspective on it because you were a player and a coach. What's kind of that mindset going into a big game like this?
Well, all of us sitting on the outside, we see all that stuff and see the big glamour of everything that's going on at the Final Four, but the players, they're totally focused on the game. Coach Beard and his staff will do a great job of having them prepared and really focused on the job at hand. Heard an interview with him last night. They're enjoying the process that they're going through. But when the game times come, they'll be totally focused on the game and ready to play. And at the end of the day, it's played out there on the basketball court, and that's going to be the difference right there is our focus on the court.
I'm interested. You obviously overlapped with Coach Beard. Is the Coach Beard we see now the Coach Beard that you knew back when you were a coach?
He's always been a great recruiter, and he's always been real passionate about what he's done. And I'm really, really proud of Chris and really happy for him. You know, he's been a survivor. He's gone through a lot. You know, he went through his time there at Texas Tech and had a lot of experience before he even came to Tech. And then, you know, after we all got fired there at the end, he did a great job of staying with it. And he's gotten to this point right here. Just really proud of him.
I'm curious, from an X and O's standpoint, from what you've seen, what would you see as the key to a victory here against a big Michigan State team?
Yeah, I think the whole key against those guys is to stay with that kind of defense that we've been playing. You know, we just disrupt everything the other team does, and we make some team like we made Michigan look like a high school team. You know, the other night when we played them, and I think that defense is a real key. You know, it seems like every time we play, they're making the comments that, well, the other team's having an off night. Well, there's a reason they're having an off night. It's that tough defense that Texas Tech plays and the game plan that's put in place and the ability to switch all five guys and the experience they have with the fifth-year seniors, and then, you know, the X factor you got is Jarrett Culver.
Bubba, thank you very much for your time, and as always, wreck 'em.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, Bubba Jennings, one-of-a-kind guy. Boy, you could use 5 of him on any team.
Exactly, yeah.
He's a big-time player. All right, you know, we talked about superstitions with players earlier this week. And, you know, whatever you think of it, let's face it, whether it actually works or not, anything players and coaches can do to think that they might have an upper hand, the better, right?
Yeah, as someone who was a bench player for most of my career, I even tried it on the bench. It didn't work ever. But it goes for the fans, too. Our Wes Rappaport joins us live from Minneapolis with more on one certain good luck charm from one special Texas Tech fan. Hey, Wes.
Hey, Brian, Eric. Yeah, you know, I don't think anybody, it's probably be pretty hard to find somebody more excited about this Red Raider trip to Minneapolis than former Chancellor, former Congressman Kent Hance. He arrived here in Minneapolis earlier this morning with a few friends. Been waiting for this trip to the Final Four for a long time, you know, decades in the making here, and he's excited about it. He's brought along one good luck charm that he hopes will be at least one key to success for the Red Raiders. His office is a Texas Tech museum of sorts with memorabilia and familiar faces everywhere. And this week, Kent Hance is in a good mood.
Sun's up, the gun's up.
The former Lubbock congressman who once served as Texas Tech chancellor has been waiting decades to see his team play in the final stages of the big tournament.
I moved into Bledsoe Hall in 1961. We wanted to see this at some day in time was running short. We're in the fourth quarter.
So he and a few buddies hopped on a plane to Minneapolis with one special item, Hance's jacket, which he says has some luck stitched in.
My record with this jacket is 11-1. So, you know, we want it to be 13-1. That's what we're pulling for in Minneapolis this week.
He got it in 1991 from a Lubbock clothing store that was going out of business for $20. And an added bonus, he'll get to watch his grandson, Andrew Sorrells, suit up for the Red Raiders this weekend.
He loves that jacket. It's kind of an old-time jacket. I don't really know how good he looks in it, but it's definitely an old, big red jacket. But I think it's cool, and whatever works.
The excitement's great.
Hance says he's not really superstitious, but the jacket will travel.
I hope it plays a role, but it'll be a great day for us when we win the national championship. I'm positive. I think we've got the best coach, the best players, and they may have single players that are better, but I feel like we have the best team.
And I was talking to Hance's grandson earlier today. You know, he said, wait a minute, if this is the good luck charm, why has he not been wearing this thing to every single game all season? We've got to put that thing to good use, but, you know, he reserves it for the special occasions. I think the Final Four here and this circumstance qualifies as one of those special occasions. And Hance said, you know, he's proud that of the nearly 350 other Division I teams that will be watching the Final Four this weekend. All eyes will be on the Red Raiders, at least for some portion of this trip. So that's an exciting thing, and he's proud, and he will be wearing the jacket as he watches his grandson suit up this weekend.
And there's so many fans rubbing all sorts of rabbit's feet out there trying to help. You've been out looking for fans, and you've already been running into some folks I know out there who have made that trip to Minneapolis. What are they as excited as we would figure they would be to be up there at the Final Four?
Yeah, you know, there really is that buzz, that energy, and this was our first opportunity to really get to see some of the fans. You know, folks have work and things that preoccupy them during the week, but now that it's Friday afternoon, and you know, we were pleasantly surprised with the number of fans at the practice, and you know, we're talking to folks, and everybody is just so excited. You know, so we talked to one group of grad students who said, yeah, we drove all the way from Lubbock here. We hopped in the car, but had to be here to witness part of history, to be part of history, and to share this experience with our friends, with our classmates, with these athletes, and with the university as a whole. So you know, a lot of situations like that, even people who, you know, have the ties to Lubbock, went to Tech, but then live in other parts of the north here, you know, Wisconsin and other parts of Minnesota. A lot of folks who live, you know, within a reasonable driving distance are certainly making the trip, but it really is exciting for folks. And when I was talking to Chancellor Hance, you know, he said, look, if you have the opportunity to make the trip, whether that's in a car, whether that's on a plane, you know, do your best to do that and show that support. He was telling me about the trip to Anaheim, and he was telling folks from the university, hey, if you really can do this, it would be great. He said that for university employees specifically in this one instance, hopped in the car after work, drove to California, to Southern California, watched the game was over, and they drove back. And so that's the kind of dedication that we're seeing here. You know, folks from all over, all walks of life, you know, maybe taking a day or two off of work, but it's worth it in their minds to come here, be part of this experience, witness some history, and then hopefully witness some more on Monday.
We'll check and make sure that those grad students you talking about who drove from Lubbock to Minnesota were driving up for the game or to see the legendary Wes Rappaport in action doing his thing. Thanks a lot, Wes.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll see you, Wes, tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow on the webcast, Saturday, game day, Tech and Michigan State national semifinal. It's the late game in Minneapolis. We'll be on here right here again. Online at 6:45 with a total team and fan experience there at the Final Four. And hey, by the way, hats off to the Tech team that's already been declared national champs this weekend. The Red Raider co-ed, cheer, and pom squads, each winning a national title with wins Friday in Daytona, Florida. Now the seniors get on a bus and drive all night to try to make it to Minneapolis and join the rest of their team before game time tomorrow. We certainly wish them well.
Maybe it's just a championship weekend for Texas Tech.
Nothing like starting it with some good mojo, that's for sure. As always, we thank you for watching. Again, we're right back here tomorrow night, 6:45, right here on your Next Star Texas affiliate website. Share with your friends and comment if you like. For Eric and a cast of thousands, I'm Brian Mudd. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Tech's quest for the championship.
With the latest on the Red Raiders at the big tournament, this is Red Raider Nation's quest for the championship, sponsored by Red Raider Outfitter.